I think that fundamentally the entire concept of like the marketplace of ideas and the entire concept underlining the marketplace of ideas dies. I think that fundamentally the entire concept of like the marketplace of ideas and the entire concept underlining the marketplace of ideas dies. I think that fundamentally the entire concept of like the marketplace of ideas and the entire concept underlining the marketplace of ideas die.
Our forefathers fought for liberty, individual freedom, self-expression, and the right to self-determination. They created a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, establishing a nation of free individuals who ignited a bright beacon of hope. America's a land where any person, from any background, can succeed, so long as they endeavor forthright with determination in their heart. A melting pot, the greatest hits album of the human race. We gather here today to renew that sacred bond, that oath to freedom. Welcome to the marketplace of ideas.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show where we do crazy stuff for something. It's the Marketplace of Ideas. I'm your host, Kyle Smith, and with me, as always, is a man who's a communist. This is James Vagabond.
Am I always communist? Sometimes I'm very liberal. Yes, welcome everyone to the Marketplace of Ideas, the show that is trying to bring the American people back together. And to do that tonight, we are going to have some news, and I was going to say something awful. The theme of the show is trying not to say awful things about the dead. That is, including Plattner's Dead campaign and Lindsey Graham's
deadness. The end of his existence, unfortunately.
Killing it tonight, Kyle. We are raising the bar on the American discourse here tonight. So we're just going to be doing some news and react content this evening. We're going to be talking about the end of Graham Plattner's campaign and the end of Lindsey Graham. We are giggling at this far too much. This is serious stuff.
We're going to address the seriousness of the incident with Lindsey Graham, and of course, all condolences to his family and loved ones. That's awful to lose somebody. But much has been said about whether it is appropriate or incorrigible to mock the dead of somebody who you despised in life, and we'll take a look at that a little bit later. The news that I'd like to start with, though, if it's all right, James, is the news in the Marketplace of Ideas, because as many of you may know, we in fact have a marketplace in the Marketplace of Ideas Discord, and there has been some activity as of late. You can see that North has maintained the top spot in the market's creator stocks here. Currently has a share of 21.54% of the market. And Tomfoolery was in second place, but look at Nonfon. Slowly making his way back up. He's currently sitting at second now, but I suspect that before too long, he's probably going to make himself once again the top stock within the creator stocks of the Marketplace of Ideas. I think that's an interesting development. I think it's probably something you all want to pay attention to. If you're looking to make some fake money, some grift coin, you can come on to our Discord service, and perhaps you might want to buy some of that non-fawn stock before it shoots up, because we all know that he's doing something behind the scenes to maintain the top spot within this stock list.
He's a leading economist. He knows how to manipulate markets like ours, so
I mean, ours might be more easily manipulable than others, considering
we're very manipulable here on the. We're very malleable here on the Marketplace of Ideas.
All you got to do is come on our show, and we will be so grateful that we will give you fake money that you
That's
can
right.
then spend in our Discord server.
And
But
you know
enough
what?
of that.
If you want to call in and contribute to our discussions tonight, we have a Discord in the link here in our YouTube video. You can join the Discord, um, and you lend your ideas to the marketplace and see how they fare.
Yeah, we'll tell you if they're valuable or not, and
And
we'll reward
if we
you.
like them, and yeah, then we will reward you with our market coin, Grift coin, which is how
Yeah,
you
our valueless currency.
extremely valuable, valueless currency. Figure that one out.
Wonderful. With that, I suppose since a little bit of old news at this point, you probably all know that Graham Plattner's campaign came to an end last week after he was credibly accused of rape by an ex-girlfriend. Pretty damning accusation. The response was harsh from the Democrats. Everybody from Ro Khanna to Bernie Sanders rescinded their endorsements. Even Pisco said that he doesn't support him anymore. So I feel like that's a pretty harsh response considering the circumstances and considering what's been precedented, unfortunately, in politics in recent years when it comes to your chosen politician being accused of such things. But a solid repudiation, and now we find ourselves in a circumstance where we are waiting for who will replace him. Before we get to that, though, let's talk about the response that other people had to this revelation. There was one Ryan Grimm who was not quite so quick to abandon the ship. In fact, he seemed reluctant to say anything particularly damning about him, as will be evidenced in the clip that we're about to review.
I think he damned himself in this clip instead of Plattner. It's that time. It's time to abandon ship. Okay, if you want to represent that you have legitimate moral grounds on criticizing candidates for their behavior, it's time. Now it does bring up an interesting precedent of, is there any hard evidence, and should people be able to be bullied out of politics over allegations? And that is a difficult question that should be asked, but I feel like it sets a bad precedent to either both knocking someone out of a candidacy over allegations, but also allowing someone in who has such terrible allegations. Seems like you could probably just find a clean candidate in a nation of 360 million people or
Yeah, and maybe if we hadn't started off with a candidate who has a Totenkopf tattoo, who has like well documented bad behavior, maybe the allegations wouldn't have stuck so well. Maybe it would be less of a decision of practicality and more of a, well, there's a good chance we can just ride this out, and our reputation will ultimately prevail, and we'll be able to shake this off by the time elections come around. But with all the cumulative baggage, it was clear that it was just too much, even if it ends up not being true. Which I don't know. I have a hard time saying that it's this is not an accusation that I have the instinct to dismiss. This sounds pretty. This doesn't it passes the smell test, I guess, for lack of a better term. When I watched it,
yeah.
it was
Specifically, what we're going to be looking in tonight here is some of the I guess hypocrisies that come out with these people who, if it was a Republican or something else, or even a centrist liberal, then they might instantly jump on the side of, condemning the candidate for these allegations, in that sort of believe women sort of vein, which the saying came out as "believe all women," but I think we all understand that is a bit hyperbolic and needs to be amended. What it should be is listen to all women and consider it and give them a fair hearing. But the concept of believe all women, I've had people try and stick me with that hypocrisy as a leftist, where they're like, well, didn't you guys say believe all women? And anytime we anytime we are wary of something like that, in you know, it creates
This
an
is the
interesting
problem.
hypocrisy.
This is the problem with trading in small ideas that represent bigger ideas. Is there's so much nuance that could be explored when it comes to the reasons why we say a thing like believe all women. It ultimately comes from the fact that far too women are not believed, and there needs to be a course correction to that.
Reverse that, when you said far too women are not believed.
Far too many women are not believed.
There
Yeah,
we go. Thank you. We got to
is that not
reverse
what I
that
said?
one. No, you said
say
far
far too
too
ma-
women are not believed, saying we need to not believe more women.
Well, I'd like to think that everybody knew what I meant, but that's the thing about doing it
I
live.
think they'd assume the best about you, Kyle, but it's
Yeah,
a
we'll
wonderful
edit it out
clippable
in
moment. I
post.
should have left it in there so that people think that you're terrible.
Yeah, that's fine if they do. That's fine if they do.
But
Anyway,
we're going to be exploring some particularly egregious hypocrisy that some of the further left people are willing to extend kind of an offensive amount of charity to the ambiguity of this situation. Not good. Not good.
Well,
so do you want me to bring it up, Kyle, on my end and stream it?
I suppose that will be better for the audio purposes. Yeah, since you're handling the actual connection to the YouTubes. Very well. Let's Alrighty. So I put a time marker in there, James. If you, I said 1:27 is probably a good place to start. That way we'll skip past the video of the allegation, which if you haven't seen it, it's worth watching so that you can make up your own mind about how you think this. There's been so many unsubstantiated allegations throughout political history, and it may be worth comparing it to others to determine whether or not you think this feels like a legitimate accusation. But ultimately has no bearing on some of the things that are going to follow here.
Oh, I remember this problem. I can't full screen it, or else it blacks out. Okay, you know what I'll do? I'll stream it for you, and I'll click live troubleshooting. Here we go. Full screen. There we go. There we go. That'll work for me. 1:27. Here we go.
This is D8. This is how Politico first reported. So Razzicoat told Politico she connected with Plattner on the dating app Bumble in 2019 and had consensual relations with him prior to the night he allegedly assaulted her. That night in late 2021, she said she had exchanged text messages with him and told him not to come over, saying she wasn't in the mood for company. Later that evening, she said she realized when she heard a sound on the stairs that he had let himself into her house, which was unlocked. Plattner came up the stairs, Razzicoat said, to where she was on a couch. He got on top of her and kept grabbing her, she said, while she repeatedly told him to stop and that she wasn't interested. Mm-hmm. So, Sagar, you read that, and most people in Washington who read that, they're like, that sounds like he broke in to the house, like uninvited, and then began a violent assault of her. Nowhere does Politico mention what she mentioned to CNN there, that she had said something in the text message exchanges that he mistook as an invitation. They
All
just
right,
say,
can you pause it, James?
Yeah.
All right, so given what has been said about what Plattner did, can you think of a reasonable explanation for why he would have done that, and what would explain this all away as just one big misunderstanding as to why he just casually marched into her house and did what he did? What do you think would be a reasonable message to have received and misinterpreted?
I can't even imagine what what would it be? What could it possibly be?
I can think of something. Let's say, maybe rather than texting the words, the following statement that I'm about to send you is false and ignore it. You just screen grab it and send it really, really small. And then the next thing that you type is, I'd like you to come into my house without knocking on the door and then start having sex with me. That I think would be a good way to explain. Let's see if that's what maybe that's what Ryan Grimm says next.
It could be.
Yeah.
Let's see. What do you got for
The article,
what
they say he was, quote,
case-changing evidence do we have here?
uninvited. It turns out, and we have learned, that Politico definitively, at the time of publication, knew precisely what Jenny had texted to Graham that he, according to her, mistook as an invitation to come over. And we know this because the Washington Post also interviewed Jenny Rassicot. And Jenny told the Washington Post, because she's being honest. She's laying out
Right.
all of the details, which is how it should be. You lay out all the details, and then you let the readers, the public, the
Yes.
voters
Yes.
say, okay, here, we have all the different facts.
All right,
Here's
get
how
to it,
we
Ryan.
interpret this
Yep.
scenario. So good for her for being
I
transparent.
totally agree with you, and I want to say that up at the top.
Yes.
This is in no way an attack on her. This
Right.
is about how I believe that the
A
media.
lot of
is handling
couching.
this.
She was
Yeah.
she was
She was truthful
transparent
from the beginning.
about this. She doesn't.
Right.
She doesn't have the text messages anymore. Plattner apparently doesn't have the text messages anymore. So we're going by her memory of what they are. And to her credit, she divulged the details of the text messages from that evening
Which were?
to the
Ryan?
So she divulged
Get-
it to the
get
Washington
there.
Post.
Get there,
The
honey.
Washington Post reaches out to the Plattner campaign.
Do you spend this much time saying nothing before saying something uncontroversial, or or do you spend this much time couching language so that you can mind fuck people? Jesus.
This is the thing that I say, like, when my friend who likes to get blackout drunk and do unhinged things, who I still like to hang out with because I have good memories with him, and I'm trying to like introduce him to a new person. Like, listen, he's a really good guy. Like when he's sober,
a really
he's so
good
fun.
guy.
He's so. I understand that
he's
he's got
going through a rough
problems.
patch. Okay, yes, he got a Nazi tattoo, but
Yeah.
who? Okay, it's just a skull. It's just a skull. But you know, I know you're gonna come back with he was a Nazi historian, but it's still just a skull. So
Still just a skull.
and that's
And
why.
Right, and it just so happens to look exactly like a Totenkopf. But I mean, how are you going to expect somebody to know every single well-known and well-documented detail about what the Nazis wore on their uniforms while being, I don't know if was he a Nazi historian or was he just a World War II? Because maybe he was just all about like, well, the infrastructure which developed.
You know
from
what?
it. Maybe
No.
that's what he cared about.
I'm being being a little bad faith towards this just because frickin' Ryan over here is being absolutely insane. This is offensive already how much he's couching it. No, knowing what I know what the text is. Like if he was about to break some big, well, like he was like, "Oh, come over," whatever. If there was some extenuating circumstances here, then the couching would. I know what's about to happen. Okay, we're gonna get there because this is just.
For comment.
I've been borderline on Ryan for 5 years. I still watch the Majority Report, even though they get a lot of shit real wrong and they do a lot of sloppy vibe-based reporting. But they still do some good interviews with some good people who are on the ground working hard to fight for the rights of the American people. Okay, I will defend their occasional good work, and I like it as a way to stay in touch with the left, the modern left. But Ryan has been on the borderline for a long time, where it's like it feels like you're grifting a little. Feels like it's far too convenient that you always agree with the most popular far left opinion. It seems a little uncanny, Ryan. And this is the moment where I'm just like, this guy is digging for clout. It's not
for the Washington Post, and in their request for comment, they mention that Jenny had been texting him talking about a massage earlier. And so the Plattner campaign sees this, and they go back to Politico, and they say, apparently there's some more context here about like the back and forth. Like, do you know about these text messages? The reporter then exchanges messages with the Plattner campaign. Those messages have been now circulating in Maine politics, in Maine political
You can
circles.
hear it in his voice.
I obtained a copy of those. I was able to authenticate them with sources with knowledge of them.
He's trying to say so many respectable, newsworthy things because he's got to puff up nonsense. If he just came out and told you what he's about to tell you, you'd fucking call him a weirdo for even reporting it.
Yep.
And here is what the Politico reporter said to the campaign. Jenny Razzicott had been, quote, texting Plattner about needing her glute massaged. That detail didn't make our story.
Right.
Glute massage. So within about a half an hour of getting this glute massage text, Plattner is in the house. Now, she says
she followed up
no, don't come.
and don't come.
Because he texted back,
these poor bastards. That's
Okay.
all they've got after all of this.
Have you ever had a glute massage, James?
We didn't call it that. We didn't call it that, but yeah.
Okay, so this sounds like I have had a legit deep tissue glute massage before.
No,
it is one of the least sexual things I've ever experienced. It was, I mean, I had a dude who,
if you actually need a massage on a muscle, it's mostly pain. It's mostly pain being forced out of you.
Yeah, I'm just doing my best to I'm actively relaxing. It's a bizarre thing. It doesn't feel particularly comfortable. I felt way better afterwards, for what it's worth. The massage therapist that I was working with at the time certainly knew what he was doing, but it was not something. If I legitimately had a glute problem and I texted that to an SO, it wouldn't be like a can you do something about it? Because I know that unless she's a trained massage therapist, that's not going to work. I can't imagine that this text message was delivered in any sort of sexy way, especially if it was followed up with, by
Don't
the way,
come.
that's not an invitation.
That's not an invitation. Stay the fuck away from me. You drunk
what kind of
bastard.
lascivious bastard do you have to be like, oh, a glute massage, you say? That's pretty good, Graham Plattner.
Oh, God. This is really showing a lot of people's asses. It is incredible how quickly... Oh, yeah, well... The people that... The excuses. It's not... I could still respect someone who was like, you know what? I don't think there's enough evidence here. I don't know who this person is. There's political motivations. We could live in a world where that person is a Russian agent. The person that accused Biden is living in Russia now permanently.
Yeah,
and so we live in a world where there's these high stakes things where the fulcrum of the United States government could twist and bend based on this one election. And so there are political motivations, and I respect someone. I wouldn't even criticize someone who was saying, hey, you know what, I respect that we should listen to people's stories and yada yada, but I'm not sure it's enough to take them out in conjunction with all the other evidence. I'd start to think that person's a little foolish. How many lies do we get to the bottom of this Tootsie Pop here? Okay, how long is it going to take before you're like, there's a pattern here, and I don't think they're all Russian agents. We don't have any other character testaments to this man other than old Reddit posts shitting on women and saying that the way that they were sexually assaulted in the military was fake. There was he ranted about some documentary that actually a social media creator that I'm a fan of, Allison Gill from the Daily Beans. Highly recommend everybody watch that show that's where I get my what do I actually trust news. The Daily Beans, they're part of the Midas Touch. This show is now just an advertisement for their show. But I could still respect that, but yeah, now's the time, guys. Now's the time, and all of this is just disgusting.
What we do have, and as far as Graham Plattner's character, is that he's made no denial of the fact that he's been a drunk asshole and has not been a good boyfriend and has said and done unhinged things. He denies the rape, of course. He denies the non-consensual aspect of this accusation, but I don't find it too far-fetched that he was just so blackout drunk that he legit doesn't remember. Based on what he said about his PTSD and the way that he's self-medicated with alcohol to deal with that, that shit could totally happen. It's entirely feasible. And I feel like it goes beyond what like Biden's accusation was, off the top of our heads. Yeah, but it gets worse. Ryan doubles down. Let's keep going.
He's wasted, clearly. He gets this message. I need my glute massaged.
Right.
He comes over. He's texts back, "I'm coming over." And she's like, wait, don't come over. She says, "Don't come over, don't come over."
We don't know which order those texts came in. It could have been, "Don't come over. I'm coming over."
This is Maine. He's not taking the subway. Like, so he's
driving.
She's drunkenly driving over there.
Yes.
Comes into the house, and then it gives, she says he's grabbing her on the couch. Well, where is he?
She's saying no.
Right. Where's he grabbing her? Like, is he like immediately starting like the glute massage or whatever?
Jesus.
Anyway.
Okay. Okay. So that feels like a bit of an escalation to me about the levels of reaching that he's going to defend Platner.
Yeah.
The idea that
if you've asked for a glute massage,
give her a glute massage.
If you've asked someone if you've merely mentioned a glute massage within the last 24 hours, all bets are off. Okay, people need to stop going out here discussing glute massages, because don't you know that means that you cannot revoke consent for at least who knows how long, maybe ever, in Ryan Grimm's fucking mind. What a psycho! This is psycho shit. This is beyond embarrassing. This is oh God. And he's smart enough to know better. This man is smart enough to know better. This man knows he's lying to you. Okay? That's why he spent 10 minutes couching his language, saying, well, that's why I give them so much respect for the reporting and the way that the nervous stuttering. This man knew he was about to try and pull off a fucking heist. This is the Ocean's 11 of like mindfuck rape apology. He thinks he's doing, and it's not good. But the people that listen to him are all of these people that watch these kinds of shows. They're not thinking for themselves very critically anymore. The algorithm thinks for them. Their ideological team sports thinks for them. And so even though this man is just like in front of your faces saying, well, she did mention a glute massage an hour beforehand and then told him no while he was on top of her. This man is disgusting. This man is disgusting.
It's an example of where ideological capture and audience capture converge into one motivation. That I'm convinced that that's why Ryan Grimm and others like him are so adherent to defending Graham Platner, a man who, I mean, why
hasn't deserved defending for
no
other than for his politics, right? Imagine there's a world. Kyle, there is a beautiful world that we clearly do not fucking live in, where if we lived in that world, we wouldn't fucking need Graham Platner in the first place. But in that world, Graham Platner says, yes, these things happened. I was a bad person, and I didn't have control of myself, and there's a lot that we should talk about. And if you don't think you can trust me anymore, maybe I should run again in another election when you can trust me. Or there is some path for him to use these as a teaching moment to say, when we pretend that people like me, Graham Platner, so you can't clip this, when people like me as Graham Platner, when we act like people like that are evil predators who are beyond humanity. They're monsters. They're devils. They're evil. And there's no theory of mind. We act like normal people don't commit these atrocities. And we do. It's normal people that rape normal people. It's not evil monsters. Like, maybe there's some amount of, psychopaths that are doing this, but a lot of a lot of consent violations happen from normal people that don't have control of themselves, don't have morals, and don't live by that. And if we could take someone like Graham, who did an awful thing, and could make a teachable moment where people and a forgivable moment that would make a culture that could destigmatize these conversations. We could live in that universe. Fucking don't. Graham Plattner is shit. And instead we have Ryan Grimm trying to say, well, she did discuss a glute massage, so I'm going to believe that over her accounts of directly stating no, no, no.
It's pretty rough. This brings us to the response to on the other side of this, where we have folks like Pisco saying he's just unviable at this point. We can't support him, which I agree with. But he also said that if he was still viable as a candidate and the only option available,
yeah,
would it still be worth voting for somebody who is as incorrigible as Graham Plattner if it meant that Susan Collins was out and potentially the Democrats get the Senate majority?
I mean, it sounds like a hyperbolic question, but
Well,
you can support a political candidacy without agreeing with the things the person does, and it's that simple. And unfortunately, you could find yourself in a situation, if this was the day of the election, day before the election, and all of this came out, then I personally would go to the polls and vote for him if there was no option, because politics isn't about saying I agree with an individual. It's about saying my vote goes towards creating this political project, and those are two very different things. Yeah,
it's a hard pill to swallow. I'm glad I don't have to be the one to swallow it. I live in the other Portland, so it's not. It was never my race to vote in anyway. That being said, if it was down to Susan Collins, who, to her credit, she did vote to convict Donald Trump in his second impeachment, but did not in his first because she felt like he learned his lesson. She voted to confirm Brett Kavanaugh despite her reservations about A, his rape accusations, and B, his statements about whether or not he would overturn Roe v. Wade. He said that he would respect it as the established law at the time, and she went ahead and confirmed it, and lo and behold, he was not so willing to uphold it as he had originally said. And has had some questionable moments of judgment herself. Now, I don't think it's good at all to equivocate her as a person with Graham Plattner. I know who I would trust. Like, if you had like a teenage kid, and you have Graham Plattner and Susan Collins, who do you leave that kid with? Plattner or Collins? Probably Collins. Probably a more responsible individual. However,
if you're leaving the impeachment vote in one of their hands, I'm going to go with Plattner.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to, is that like he shows horrible judgment when it comes to managing his own life.
And interpersonal,
but the gamble here is that, what's that?
And his interpersonal life, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to the way he would wield his political power, if he had it, I expect that he would do what I would want him to do, which is vote for Democratic policies. I feel weird saying that because I've often railed against Trump supporters for having that same attitude when it comes to Trump.
Yeah.
To that, I would say, however, there's a bit of a difference between one person running for one seat in the Senate and a person who is running for the top executive in the entire country and arguably, the leader of the free world. Trump has the potential to wield a lot of power. I mean, more and more as the months go by, considering the Supreme Court and its willingness to give him some. To be fair, not all. They've bucked him a little bit, but with the ability to fire members of the SEC, etc., it would seem that character is a more important metric for the presidency than it is for a senator. Not to say that it shouldn't be considered at all. And I am very glad that we no longer have to deal with the moral dilemma of whether or not to vote for Graham Plattner, especially considering that I would, if I were in the position to do so, I would probably vote for him and feel pretty gross about it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. It almost feels like a relief, right? It almost a horrible thing to say. It almost feels like a relief where at least we don't have to worry about what problems he might bring to elections, to the party, etc. Now we can say, yes, once it was clear that he was the person he was being accused of, we as a party said we can't vote for a person like that. I do love that takeaway. It feels good for us to finally be able to say, Scott politically sounds like he has good values, but we're not a party that accepts anyone at any cost. And I think it's good that we established a line here.
Well, it was interesting too. Rasica, when she made the accusation, one of the things that she said was, "I didn't say it for a long time because she was politically affiliated with his ideology. She felt like what he stood for was too important to get in the way of that, and ultimately she decided to make the accusation because she felt like it was important that people really knew who he was and what kind of things he was capable of doing." To me, that speaks to the credibility of the accusation. I guess if I were cynical, I could see how, of course you would say that, but yeah, I that is a hard thing to do. I can imagine that being a horrible dilemma to experience. If I knew someone had wronged me so terribly, but I stood to gain potentially from it politically, I could see myself maybe making the calculation that I'm not going to come forward with this, especially considering how like life upending it would be for her to have to now go through this rigmarole in the cameras. I can't imagine the what she's dealing with on a regular basis from people who are upset with her for upending Plattner's campaign and potentially paving the way for Susan Collins to regain her seat, or to maintain it rather. With that said, it's my understanding that when Graham Plattner officially dropped out, the odds makers had the Democratic chances of winning the Senate election. They started to rise. So there is some optimism. And with that said, let's move on to what is going to be happening next.
Well, before that, we got Azahai in the chat saying, we can't keep trying to win battles. We need real values. Interesting. I think they're trying to point out that, at some point we do have to draw that line.
About what, not voting for rapists?
Yeah, instead of just trying to, instead of saying, well, we can just push this person across the line and we can win this fight now, and that'll help us win the war. Sounds like Azahai is suggesting that we need to live our values in order to successfully win that war.
I don't know that living our values has worked for us so far. I mean,
Al
Franken stepped down from his seat because somebody took a picture of him like pretending to grab some lady's boobies, and it was like a joke, and he clearly wasn't actually trying to harass her or anything. And I think
there were some other coupled allegations of a similar negative amount, like maybe a little bit of
like he said, a joke that wasn't well received at one point.
I think it was comedic groping again. Comedic groping.
All right, well, that's not good. You shouldn't do it. But pretty goddamn innocuous compared to what we've come to tolerate from other, I don't know, let's say, Matt Gaetz. And to be fair, I mean, he didn't end up becoming Attorney General. As far as I know, he took a pretty big hit eventually from his, sex trafficking 17-year-olds. But the idea that we need to find live by our values and stay consistent to those in order to achieve the outcome that we want, I find to be a dubious claim considering where that's gotten us to this point. Now, that's not saying that we need to throw our weight behind whatever candidate we can get across the finish line, but if it ultimately means that this one particular election, would the outcome be worth it if we empowered a man who does not deserve the power in order to get a Senate majority and ensure that democratic law is going to be maintained? I think it's worth it. I think that would give us a better opportunity to enact our values in the country, as opposed to not voting for Plattner, not coming up with a viable replacement, and letting Susan Collins continue to enable Donald Trump to the extent that she has done so.
Yeah.
With that said,
I think I understand the Trump supporter position a little bit better through this lens, though, right? Like, you can say that the negatives from our side, we can argue back and say, with Trump, his negative characteristics are directly tied to how he would work as a president and has worked as a president. He's greedy, and so he's corrupt and uses that office to enrich himself and his friends in order to gain power. Like the but we do harp on Trump's being anti-consent, not respecting people's consent, not respecting women.
Sure. But I also want to point out Trump's stone sober. He doesn't drink. He doesn't do drugs. He doesn't need to be blackout drunk to rape somebody. He'll do that with full awareness. Does that? I mean, doesn't make it.
I guess you can add those
worse.
circumstances and do a different little bit of algebra, but I don't think that. I think that still smells like hypocrisy to the other side.
It does, but I mean, consider we have Graham Plattner, who is willing to abandon his principles when he's drunk, which is not good, and he's drinking to medicate his PTSD, which is also not good. But then we have Trump, who doesn't drink at all, and it turns out he either doesn't have any values, or his only values are what can he gain out of these circumstances, which means that he has apparently zero compunction for raping somebody if he thinks he can get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly differences. I will say that the character flaws of Trump are more related to the office, right?
Yeah.
I would definitely criticize Plattner as a candidate, given what we know and how he would rule, in that he might have less respect and understanding of women and consent, etc. So, like, those are political issues where he would become a significant problem or a weight on the party or someone to be wary of. Imagining if this was the day of election and all this broke, what would the calculus be? I would say
Christ.
I'd still take him over a Republican on all those issues, though. Is the thing. All those related issues, that's the problem that makes it that's what really makes the calculus easier, to where it's like, yes, I would vote for someone who ate a baby over Donald Trump and over the current political or Republican political party, because they are doing so many things that are just unacceptable to our nation. And so that's why I'm saying I understand more. It's the difference is I'm correct and they're wrong when they say our side is a threat. That's the difference. There is no principled difference other than I'm right. Is the facts fit my reality? And so that's
right.
that's where the discussion needs to happen. It's like yes, I agree that you should vote for a bad person who's going to do the things politically that need to happen, over like someone who gives to charity in their spare time, but they're going to end democracy as a political game. And with that, maybe we should get back to Ryan rape apology. We cannot use the stream title. A grape apology.
There we go. That
we have to use the newspeak, the algo newspeak. Got a couple other people in the chat. Hey guys, if you have any strong opinions on what we're bringing up here or talking about, you can call in this evening. Open calls. Let me my OB.
The Washington Post, to its credit, included a version of the detail we could put up. Washington Post D7. One night in November or December 2021, she said she texted him to say that she could use a massage. She said she did not intend it as an invitation, but he interpreted it that way, immediately replying to say he would come right over. She said,
Just saying that you need a massage, like that alone, if someone says, I need a massage, unless you're really close with them, that isn't a free... Jesus. He's...
she wrote back twice, telling him not to. The Post was not able to review the alleged messages or independently verify them. Rassicoat said she later deleted them soon after the incident. So Post didn't include the glue part, but did mention the massage, to their credit. But because the Politico published first...
How are you finding the time to send over all these meeting notes?
Yep.
I gotta see.
got-
I've been using.
I gotta get an
Granola.
ad blocker.
Granola.
So it's an ad.
Nobody... I didn't even know the Washington Post reported on this.
Exactly, and I think that's why this is important. So there's the most important part, and let's just zoom out, because
Is this the most important
does
part, James?
potentially explain why a drunken Plattner enters the home.
Right.
It stops there.
What do you mean?
Because
Is Sagar just said this is the important detail that's being reported on?
Oh,
that,
God. Is this... Oh, this is breaking news right now. That's
It
horrifying.
changes everything. Yeah, thought that he thought he just went over to give a glute massage.
All right, so yeah,
glute
Sagar's
massage
on the
go.
list now too. Ryan Grimm and Sagar. I mean, Sagar was already on my shit list, but not in like he was obviously grifting a little to get the views, but nothing like this before. Like it was just ideological garbage that I disagreed with. I can disagree with somebody's thought process and not fucking hate them, but when you're transparently rape apologizing for views and ideological points, I'm done with you. This is gross. This is gross.
that's
Well-
where the
Yeah, just sorry. Continue.
rest of the evening and her account of the evening, it no longer accounts for. But it does explain a detail. And I think what was key to the understanding generally that all of us had was that it did genuinely appear as if Plattner had been told explicitly not to come over there, understood that to be the case, broke into the home effectively, entering a home unannounced, and which just whether it's unlocked or not is a full-blown crime. I mean,
Yeah, but if
and I do
somebody
think that
says
that's
they
part
need a
of why
massage,
we need to assess this very seriously.
you could crush the door
The
down.
very definition of what Jenny has alleged here is a full-blown gross sexual assault, Class A felony in the state of Maine, with a statute of limitations for 20 years. That's what she is alleging, which carries a
He can't even
did
say what it actually is.
You know, I feel like I'm being a little unfair. You know, because I did mention that I'd had a glute massage before. I forgot to mention that I had texted my massage therapist that I could use a glute massage, but not to come over. And he came over through into the door, and I was on the couch, and he started giving me a glute massage, and it was fine. It worked out fine.
It was fine.
So,
a significant prison sentence for like decades potentially in prison. And that is my understanding of how I need to evaluate what is being alleged here. I want to make that clear. Now, if I were then to submit to due process or something like that in a trial, and I saw something like that, it would significantly change, again, my understanding of how the event were to begin. This does not in any way say that she is lying about what then transcribed. Also, we should not take away agency from Plattner, who is wasted out of his mind 5 years ago, mind,
Wait
not
a sec. I'm sorry. We're going back for a stupid detail.
from Plattner,
but those
who
are
were
AI
then
people in the
transcribed.
background.
Also, we should not take
Watch
away
them
agency
disappear.
from Plattner.
Oh, is it
about
just the
what
time
then
lapse?
transcribed. Also,
some of the
we should
people-
not take away agency from Plattner, who is wasted out of his
Some of
mind
the people
5
stay.
years ago, mind, not 20 years
Sorry.
ago, 5 years ago,
We're
absolutely blacked
breaking
out
this down like
drunk,
it's a Zapruder
and then
film.
clearly in a position where he had been in several of these types of encounters, which have been described from Lindsay Fifield to others, women or ex-girlfriends who have talked to the media. He put himself and had terrible judgment, terrible behavior, and put himself in a situation where something like this could happen, which was obviously very traumatizing to
He
Jenny.
put himself in this situation. What an interesting way to apply blame, but also leave them blameless. He put himself in this situation. He didn't do it. He put himself in this situation for him to sexually assault someone. What is that? What a weird way of walking the blame right up to him and then being like, but that's, I'm not saying he did it. He put himself in this situation. What is this?
Yeah,
What are
in
you
terms of her
saying,
understanding
Sagar? What are you trying to say?
the Facebook messages about consensually careless. That's why I think this is a media story.
Right.
Because I think that the irresponsibility of not reporting that led to an understanding of how the event transpired, which is not fulsome with the general reality. And maybe it seems like you and I are splitting hairs, but the reason why I think it's really important,
Maybe
when
it
we
seems
learned
that
this,
way.
it really struck me, is it really reminded me of how a lot of the Me Too cases in 2017 and 2018 transpired, in which it was very obvious it was purely on the word of one person. You could have contravening evidence of what obviously was a complicated encounter, or something where, look, there's genuine misunderstanding, or a different takeaway, and in which people's lives got totally ruined. And I do think that in this case, like with
Sagar's been hitting up the black pill forums, dog. He's been reading the red pill and black pill forums.
Maybe so.
Kind of, I understand now where all these online chuds are saying that all women lie.
Maybe he thinks that the only thing to come out of the Me Too movement was Aziz Ansari getting canceled. Maybe that's like in his mind that like
a lot of
yeah,
bros, that was the last thing for them. It was.
Right. Where like, I mean, if you read the account of the date, it does sound like a fucking terrible date. Like,
Sure.
right. Although to be fair, the lady complained that he had white wine to pair with the oysters, which is like, why the fuck would you want red wine? But that's neither here nor there. Ultimately, it sounds like the guy was like, pretty forward with his intent to have sex, and it was awkward and weird, and that was more or less the extent of it, from what I recall. That wasn't the overall representation of what happened during Me Too. When I think of the Me Too movement, I think of Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein and
Bill Cosby.
Dozens of powerful people that went down. That news reporters, Hollywood stars, industry leaders, like. It was a movement of people saying we can stand up together and we can make a movement of normalizing coming forward with your accusation being heard.
But what Sagar thinks of when he thinks of the Me Too era is Aziz Ansari getting canceled because his date.
I mean, he's a really funny guy, okay? He's really funny. He's very talented. He shouldn't have been. What they did to him was terrible. And therefore, Graham Plattner is in.
Or at the very least, we shouldn't force him out of his campaign. We should wait until he loses against Susan Collins in November, as opposed to try to come up with a viable candidate. With that said, James, I think we might have milked this particular video for all that it's worth. I think we get the gist that Sagar is completely bad faith. Ryan Grimm's ideologically and audience
fighting at his heels, yeah.
Yeah. And I would then like to move us on to what happens next in the main election. We are going to have a
nomination process.
Nomination convention is going to happen. We're going to have a convention of 601 delegates. We'll be voting on candidates who will submit their intent to run. Troy Jackson is the name that I keep hearing the most. Troy Jackson is somebody who is relatively ideologically similar to Graham Plattner without all the, rape baggage. So he's...
Grape. Don't forget your newspeak.
Grape. Yes, grape. Right.
Which is
Sorry
double plus bad.
Well, we'll just edit that out too. So I'm expecting that he is going to end up in the main spot. We can see here that, according to this article from yesterday, that he is currently leading the field. And you would think that here we go. We can see
what article?
A poll here.
Kyle? Oh, you're streaming on your screen. You should.
Oh, sorry. I I should have indeed. Here I've got the I've got it up on my screen here. You can see
What's
that
the website
there
here?
is this is CHIS Chisholm Strategies.
Huh.
Never heard of it, but it's probably legit.
Let's talk about media literacy for a second, Kyle. How do we know this is a good fucking website?
Well, it was
the
the
AI told me.
Here. It was a top story in Google. I'd like to think that stands for something.
Fuck me.
With that said,
God damn it, Kyle. I did want this to be a show about new media literacy to a degree, okay? And here you are, stinking it up, okay? You know what? It's all a learning process.
You know what?
We'll teach by learning with the audience.
Let's look at who the actual pundits look at when they're determining what's going to happen, and that is gambling odds. So, let's see. Currently, they still have Plattner with well, let's see. He's got the most volume. Oh, this is the primary. Very well. Maine Democratic Senate winner. Let's just do Senate. And here we go. Poly market.
Follow the money, people.
This is my understanding is this is what the actual pundits do. Now you can see
you could probably track that graph and be like, this is where they found out his Reddit shit. And this
look, this is July 4th, and then here we go July 6th.
Oh, we got rid of him. Fuck, Jesus.
And then they've just been sharply separating. So, it doesn't actually give a name here, but let's check this out. Will Troy Jackson become the Senate nominee on July 27th?
77%.
We've currently got him in the lead. Now that should please. Hang on, get out of here. That should please all of the folks who were supportive of Plattner, considering the closeness of their policies. But we've got another video to look at. Now this is from a streamer known as Hassan Piker. James, if you want to pull up the next video. Now Hassan has some concerns about this nomination process that is being scrambled together at the last minute out of necessity by the Maine Democratic Party. And now Hassan is emblematic of a particular wing of the left in America. I don't
rationalist, centrist, left wing, just salt of the earth American politics, right?
Just common sense.
Pro-Americana, pro-liberalism, definitely pro-democracy. Definitely not covering up for atrocities in communist adjacent societies. Definitely not just sweeping constantly. There's a lot of things I could say about how definite these, but I won't.
Well, let's give him a fair shot. Maybe what he says in this video will be reasonable.
The Maine Democratic Senate Committee overwhelmingly voted in favor of 600-plus person nominating convention to replace Grant Plattner. DSC has had a long emergency meeting Wednesday and then took... Oh, no. That's crazy. Oh, my God. It's Mamala time. Oh, my God. It's Mamala Harris. Talk about a party that never learns this goddamn lesson, bro. How incredible. Oh, my God. What's going on? Do they just not want to win? What's happening?
As many of you know, over the past couple of days,
all right,
I have faith.
Yeah. So we've just shown that the odds makers certainly believe that the Democrats have a higher chance of winning now that Plattner is out, without even having a nomination secured. And with Troy Jackson looking like he's going to win, I think that should please a lot of the people who were voting for Plattner because of his policy platform. Hassan is upset that we are not having a primary process in the deadline is the 27th. So in 2 weeks' time, Hassan believes that the Maine Democratic Party can hold a primary, which
that's what he's mad at. I was wondering. I thought he was suggesting that we should just keep rolling with Plattner, and that like them stepping in to make him resign was them being Mamala and trying to lead the party. I can never tell which strain of America bad, establishment bad he'll go with. You can never
Well, he-
quite predict how creatively wrong Hassan Piker will manage to be.
Well, he does have more to say, so we'll see if he does say something similar to that in a moment.
Why does he
but
have more to say?
I mean, you'd think that it would end there, but I do think that it's important to point out that there's a vast difference between a state-held primary coming together in 2 weeks' time that would be well structured enough for an entire state's worth of voters to participate in, compared to what could have been done with the presidency with several months. If with several months' time, it would have already been difficult, especially considering the nationwide scale. But the idea that within 2 weeks, and presumably you need things to be put together before the 2 weeks are over. So really, you have maybe 1 week. How long does it take to put together a Democratic primary? Probably requires more than just throwing up a couple posters.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean it was ridiculous enough to conceive that we would in the Kamala Harris situation when Biden dropped out run a whole primary for a new candidate then. It was ridiculous enough. It somewhat possible. You could say it's arguably possible. It would cut into the amount of time that they would have to run, but it would, there's some argument to be made there. It could have drummed up interest in the process and made people feel like, and maybe someone would have come out on top with a better chance of winning. There's at least it's not just utterly idiotic. A couple weeks to do a primary. Insane.
All right, well, let's see what else he's got for us.
So wait, when is the election?
The deadline to get somebody in place is the 27th.
Yeah.
So the nominating convention will happen on Saturday, July 25th at 9 a.m. at the Bangor Cross Insurance Center.
Yeah.
So 2 days before the deadline, we will have somebody lined up.
And did you look into the delegation nomination process? They've got the 601 delegates. How are they nominated? Did you look into that?
I did not.
Okay. I didn't either. So, I'm laughing at us, not you there. Nailed it. Let's see what else.
There actually, they actually go over that information here on the website.
Oh yeah, that's why you brought us that research.
Indeed. So, who can run to be a county delegate? Any voter who is a registered Democrat as of June 9th primary election may run to be a delegate. If you fill out a form, no later than this Wednesday at 5 p.m. So they don't have like Democratic insiders or whatever. It's not a back room where the Democrats who wear dark hoods and drink the blood of babies in the Bilderberg.
Yeah, click that
building.
next plus. How will delegates be chosen? All 16 counties of those delegates, 101 will be members of the Democratic State Committee who have been duly elected by Maine voters. Remaining 500 will be delegates appointed from each county. Each county will be apportioned 1/3 the amount of delegates. 2020.
So these aren't Democratic insiders. These are voters. They're
to some extent the kinds of people that would be involved in these machinations would already be inclined towards being part of the Democratic establishment. So there's still a critique to be made there that this is a little bit structuralist, a little bit controlled in some amount by the Democratic Party. They don't have their tendrils completely out of it. But what else are you going to do?
Well, not to mention, like the people that are more likely to participate in the primaries at all are those who are more
super activated,
politically. Yeah. So this idea that it's going to be those super activated people who are participating in this process and having that be some sort of, now maybe he didn't look into the delegation selection process like we did because he's not he's not thorough with his
At
research.
Least Hassan Piker does less research than us. Okay, Kyle.
There we
At
go.
least we're still winning on some level.
Sure, and I mean, my understanding is he does all right in the political streaming business. So maybe
we'll get there one day.
Too hard.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, we're doing too much, not too little.
All right. With that said, let's get back to the content.
Faced some very serious allegations, and I just want to make it clear, this is all false. the things that have been claimed did not happen. It's not real. It has placed an immense amount of weight on me as I think about.
That doesn't sound like sounds like you're summoning an immense amount, but that's just vibes. That's just vibes,
Well,
but
my expectation is the weight comes from whether or not he gets to continue his campaign.
oh, gotcha.
Less so. Well, I mean, I'm sure I'm sure it sucks to be accused of grape, whether or not you did it. But I'm not emotionally moved by it, I guess. But yeah, I believe this is just him watching Plattner's video that details how he will be stepping down from his from his nomination.
What needs to happen now?
Gotcha. Yeah, it was like
Amy and I are regular people. We were not looking for this experience. We were not looking to get into politics. We had no desire to run for office. I just want you to think about like what you would do as a regular person in a position where a much larger world, large forces, were working against you personally to accuse you of the worst thing that a person could do, and it was not remotely true.
So Plattner at
I
this
learned
point
about this.
is alluding to the idea that this is ultimately the product of organizations working to keep him silent, to keep him down, to get him out of his campaign. This is all, I guess, just what the deep state or the dark room insider Democrats working together to keep him out. Very conspiratorial.
very
a bit
conspiratorial.
wacky.
Yeah. Doesn't. I'm just so sick of the modern media landscape. Like, sure, there's a world where, like we said earlier, where this allegation was completely trumped up, but like, we've got a pattern here, guy. We've got a pattern. We've seen it. It can't all just be. If you believe him, then it's something you could say. It's something you'd understand him saying. If you don't believe him, it sounds. It's like, as someone who doesn't believe him anymore, it sounds sickening to say that. As someone who I now believe knows what he did, he knows he did what. He knows what he did was wrong. He knows he fucking did it, and he's just using the political world as an excuse to sweep his disgusting behavior under the.
I'd
Absolutely
clarify even further. I would say that, I mean, if I were neutral, if I didn't know whether I believed the accusation or not, and I was like, okay, well, I better hear both sides of this, and then I hear him saying it's the deep state coming after me, I'm like, okay, well, that's probably bullshit. Then he probably did it, or he's at the very least, has no compunction for pulling out all the stops to deny the accusation.
Or at the very least, best case scenario is like he's a little nuts and thinks like deep skate's coming after me.
Yeah, maybe he's innocent, but he's also a total wackadoo.
He's Alex Jones pilled.
Right. So anyway, we can react to more of Graham Plattner, but the meat of what I wanted to check out was Hassan reacting to it. As is the way we do things.
What do we got from Hassan?
Press inquiries.
Yeah, we're third layer reactors, okay?
Indeed.
Hassan gets to react to things directly. We have to wait until someone like Hassan reacts, and then we're allowed to react, okay?
Yeah. And
as is
hopefully
tradition.
Someday, well, people have reacted to us as well, so we've been at the beginning of that chain before. So it'll come back around to us
someday.
With no time to truly respond, no time for investigations before a corporate media system and the political establishment got to act as judge, jury, and executioner.
Is he saying Republicans did this? No. I think he's saying this
It sounded like you wanted to pause.
is Israel. Like he's implying that it's Israel doing this. What the
Accusations are
Okay,
Israel.
what
Like,
was
he's
that?
implying that it's Israel doing this. What the?
So Hassan seems to think that what Plattner is alluding to is that Israel
It must
is
be.
the one.
It couldn't be Republicans who have the most to gain from this.
It
Everything
couldn't
is
be-
fucking Israel with Hassan.
It couldn't be the
Jesus.
corporate media organization, which, you know, I mean, I think the good faith interpretation is here. They will vet any candidate who runs for anything to see if, like, hey, have you ever graped anybody? Sorry, I'm never gonna get used to saying grape.
No.
Most people, when they deal with that, they say, no, I haven't. And you can absolutely look into my past and you'll find out that that's true. That's not the media working together as a dark organization to take you down. That's just how we vet candidates in this country.
Yeah, a bunch of people
But-
came and looked up my life to make sure I wasn't lying about my whole life. To see who I was as a person and who I'd be as a candidate for taking an extreme amount of power and responsibility and power over people's lives and the way they make decisions in their daily existence. They looked into me.
And then
It's
Hassan's first thought is,
Israel.
it's Israel.
Fucking
It's the Mossad working to take me down.
Ryan Grimm said, "Let me do some grape apologia," and Hassan said, "Hold my fucking beer. Let me do some grape apologia with anti-Semitism as whipped cream on top." Jesus.
Now, to be fair to Hassan, I do think that he.
Wait,
that
don't
he-
be fair to Hassan. Fuck that guy. But
Well,
before,
I'm just saying. I don't.
to
know
be
that he's
fair to
engaging in
reality,
apology.
fuck Hassan. Don't be fair to Hassan. Be fair to truth and
fair-
reality.
To be fair to what is true, I believe he will clarify that he is no longer supporting Graham Plattner and is not himself, willing to be a rape apologist. But let's continue. Let's see what Hassan actually has to say.
So wait, he's going to say, "Well, yeah, it was Israel, but also it was true." How is he gonna make that razor thin line work? Find out now.
Let's see.
Let's find out now.
accusations are supposed to be the beginning of things, not the end.
Oh no, he's like innocent until proven guilty. That's crazy. He said, "Believe men."
I think it's really
What-
important.
Why would you meme about it that way? Why would you meme it?
I do think that Hassan is shitting on Plattner here. I think he's making fun of Plattner a little bit.
Okay, but like, why does your brain jump to Israel? Okay, so he's putting the Israel on Plattner because
Maybe.
his brain just doesn't work any other way. If there's a conspiracy, then the Jews are at the end of it. So that's what Plattner must be saying. He's not saying Hassan agrees that it was Israel
Right.
that secretly deep stated his ass.
Right. That's his go-to for any time there's a big organization working to do something in particular that
tells you so
leads
much
to negative
about
consequences.
Hassan's theory of mind about other people, where it's just like, well, everyone must understand that Israel is controlling everyone. So if he's saying something is being controlled in the background, he must be talking about the Jews. Because, I mean, we all know that's Hassan's fucking theory of mind about all of this. I thought today was going to be a serious news day, but we are just bringing the absolute worst of the internet political shitosphere, and that is Hassan Piker and Ryan Grimm and Sauger. Oh my god.
Well,
I've seen
that-
so many... Right, okay, Ryan Grimm has done a lot of great reporting on serious issues that gave me a better understanding of the world, made me optimistic about the fight for our rights. Like, he's done good work in his life, and he's just like so ideologically driven, so campist, so holding the party line that he's just like, let me just pretend that this person didn't sexually assault a woman. Horrifying.
Not a great look for the further left. Not a great look.
And somehow Hassan doing better than these guys. Hassan
Sure,
gets
yeah,
it. Hassan gets
so
it.
far he's actually has a better take.
Yeah.
It's weird that he brought up Israel.
It's just the Israel
all.
theory of mind getting in there that
Yeah.
really kind of messed things up.
Important to
right, well-
understand why this is happening in the timeline. Why this is happening right now. Much like October, when the first attack started.
Lamau, believe man, Hassan. What the? I'm joking. I'm making a joke about how
Okay,
silly
yeah,
this
yeah.
is, like how silly this take is.
I'm
This is
sorry,
actually
Hassan. You're
nutty.
just so
This is
stupid that I
actually
can.
a crazy situation. This is not what I think was going to happen. Holy
What we have
Of
accomplished.
course, it's not Hassan, or else you wouldn't have supported him.
You made possible. The people of Maine, the volunteers, the voters, the grassroots donors, and I have all the faith in the world that we could win if we could continue to harness that. But the brutal political reality is that they are going to take everything away from us. Those in power who have the ability to do so are using these allegations as an excuse to take away all of the things that we need to run a campaign.
Yeah, I think he's saying the Democrats did this. Like the Democratic establishment did this.
Oh my God! 0 for 2, Hassan. 0 for 2. 0 for 2. He just means like the business class, the Epstein class, as he'd like to call it. He doesn't mean Jews and Democrats. Holy Hassan's two biggest enemies, Israel and Democrats. Oh my God.
Like they pulled this last second, right before the date, you know, like leaning into a lot of the pre-existing conspiracies given the timing of it. So far, I don't know if he's denying it because he is also in legal trouble. Because here's the thing. This accusation is a criminal accusation and one that actually has plenty, if the political reporting is correct, there's no reason for me to believe it's not. There's already enough evidence to convict in court. And the victim has until like 20
Enough evidence to convict in court? I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like a statement that was kind of pulled out of his ass. I mean, so what I know is that the text messages were deleted, and Plattner doesn't have them evidently, or at least he hasn't given them to anybody. As far as I am aware, we're just going on one person's word versus, well, a couple people's words. Apparently, she did. There were several people who corroborated that she had told them about what happened.
Yeah.
Since then,
And
so there's a few people who can at least say that she's been consistent about saying that this is
okay.
true.
So maybe how does that go in court? If one person tells several people, including a counselor, like that helps you believe the individual witness, but you're still just weighing the validity of one person's testimony with no other evidence. That's such a tough thing.
Here.
That's such a tough thing. Yeah, I will ask him to explain that to us at some point because that is a difficult question. Yeah, we need a lawyer for that.
2041 because it was 2021, so 20-year statute of limitations. So she has until 2041. Yeah. Not convict. Sorry, I should have said charge. It is hard to prosecute, but definitely
there we
enough
go,
to charge.
Decisions should not be made in back rooms by people in places of political power. Party apparatchiks are not the ones to make these decisions. These decisions need to be made in the open by the people of this state, the people who got us here. This is exactly the kind of political system that everyone voted against on June 9th. And for that reason, we need to be assured that it is going to be open and democratic as we move forward. Amy and I struggled about getting into this. Last summer, right around this time of year.
He dropped out, chat. He dropped out.
That summer when the hedge fund millionaire came to me and told me what my platform was going to be.
Sat down and we looked at each other and we said, if we believe in the kind of politics we think that we do, we have to do this. Over the past couple days, really yesterday and today, we have had to have that exact same conversation. We believe that for the movement to continue, it can't be me. And for that reason, we are suspending campaign operations.
See?
This is incredibly difficult because I know that some will think it's an admission of guilt, and it most certainly is not. We're not doing it because of the allegations. We're doing it because of the structures that are being taken away from us by those in power. And I also feel an immense amount of responsibility to everyone who has worked so hard to get us to where we are.
So here's the thing. The reason why he went this like long and convoluted route, I suspect, is to, one, say that he's getting over by the establishment Democrats so that there is like still a decent amount of anger towards the establishment Democrats.
He's trying to. Oh my god, he's so gross. So gross. The way he's trying to weaponize this against the Democratic Party. Just redirect that. Like, not even Plattner's trying to do. Like, he could try and use that as a secondary shield against this as a personal attack on him. And to some degree, that's what he's doing here, couching all of his, this is why, not because of the allegations, because I can see the system's rigged against me. Like, that's, God, he sounds like fucking Alex Jones more and more. He's got the one, instead of see, that's the world we live in. Instead of getting a left-wing Joe Rogan, we get a left-wing Alex Jones and fucking Graham Plattner.
Brilliant.
Oh God, the Democrats, man. Oh no.
Oh, what's the
so
Democrat?
fucked up,
Everything's
dude.
the
Because
Democrats'
He's suspending his
fault.
campaign. There's
They're
still going
worse
to be a
than
lot of palpable
Republicans.
rage towards the establishment. There are going to be people that, especially after his denials, the people that love him, that voted for him, are just and don't care about women at all, including women, by the way, are going to literally say, "Oh, this, like, you cooked our boy." And not only that, but then the main Democratic Party is not doing like any sort of open electoral process here, and instead are using a 600 plus person nominating convention to replace Graham Plattner. This is devastating.
Democracy is devastating. Democratic
point out,
process.
we just looked it up, and you can apply to be a delegate. It's not just a bunch of insiders who have been pre-selected. It is, it would be nicer if everybody in Maine could vote if they're, I'm not sure if they have open primaries, but given that there's a bit of a time crunch here, I think it's reasonable to throw this together, considering it will be logistically simpler and more feasible to accomplish by the deadline than it would be to throw together an entire primary. The idea that Hassan's upset, or he thinks that this is the Democrats fumbling this because they're not having an open or an actual primary is a bit far-fetched, especially considering what the odds makers are saying and the actual details of the nomination process. It's a bit reactionary to me.
Yeah, just a bit. Jesus. This is some nonsense. Why do we live in a world where anyone cares what Hassan thinks? Why do we live in this
That's a good
world?
point. And maybe that's as good a time as any to transition to...
You know what, Kyle? Why don't you keep an eye on chat for us? Because, you know what? Let's stop caring about what Hassan Piker thinks right now.
The point is that we have certain media figures who are working to defend Plattner as best they possibly can, whether it's a big old stretching reach or not. While the process in place seems like it's going to be favorable to people who would prefer Troy Jackson to receive the nomination, considering what his current odds are, what the polls are saying, and the nomination process being fairly open, it seems, to people who would be inclined to participate within this process, there are still people like Hassan and other folks on the far left who are not willing to spend a little bit of time reading about how the process will actually work, who are being totally blackpilled about how the election's it's over. They're just the Democrats.
There's no way we could win, even though we've got a candidate
over.
who's very similar. Of course.
With that said,
everything's falling apart at all times, according to Hassan. It's all the Democrats' fault. Always.
Well, speaking of Grahams and speaking of things that fall apart,
what a wonderful segue.
Lindsey Graham passed away this past weekend, shortly after he was in Ukraine.
And once again, condolences to their loved ones.
Of course. Yeah. No, I'm sure there were people in Lindsey Graham's life that cared about him, and it sucks that they have to deal with this. It was described that he had a brief illness. It turns out it was a ruptured artery, I believe, and he passed rather quickly. And so now there is the response to Lindsey Graham's passing
a lot of
both,
fiery responses, a lot of people not being very civil, in a lot of cases probably stepping over the line. But we've got some interesting takes on this where, both sides, when someone on the other side passes anymore, you're just going to see people saying the worst things they can about them. Sometimes you'll see legitimate criticisms of the person, and I think that's acceptable. I think there's a line that you have to walk where you can make legitimate criticisms. You should keep them within the bounds of civility. If someone truly did awful things, I don't think you should be afraid to speak them. In fact, that moment might be a time where it's important to speak the truth about someone when they pass. I think that might be the most important time to speak to what their life meant. And I think we should all do that in a respectful and understanding way, which is not what Kyle Kalinske done. And we're going to look at that here.
Now, Kyle Kalinske, for anybody who might not know, is another one of these folks who are on the further left side of the political spectrum in America. He makes content that is pretty. I mean, my understanding is that he has a really good mind for policy. Like he's really good at keeping track of the political shifts and the actual policies being put forth and discussing them. But when it comes to,
I would say way better than average. Good
Sure.
and way above average are two different
right.
things anymore.
All right,
we have
fine,
such
fine.
a crowded political landscape full of misinformed and uninformed people that being misinformed can put you in the top 1%. And that's where I think, to his credit though, no, he does have an exceptionally good memory and understanding of a lot of these things. It's just his ideology in applying it that's not great. He can remember the actions. He's just going to spin it within himself. I don't think Kyle's a grifter. Of a lot of the people we've talked about today, I think are grifters, but Kyle, I think, is just a misguided believer. I think it's earnest with him. It's earnest error, and we're going to watch him very earnestly mock the death of Lindsey Graham.
He's got his headphones in there.
On his face and his butt cheeks. His butt cheeks, 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 his butt cheeks.
What about his butt cheeks?
Now, James,
Yes, sir.
are we gonna get copyright struck for playing that song? Is that gonna come back to bite us?
I thought this was an AI. Is this a real song?
It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like AI slop to me.
Okay. Well,
I
listen
hope
to the
that
lyrics,
nobody
Kyle. I
has
think
the word-
listen closely, and I think you'll understand why I'm not as
something
worried.
about butt cheeks. But yeah, I hope to God that nobody has the work ethic to shit out this song. over a
Copyright.
weekend.
No. Listen
Yeah.
very carefully about what the butt cheeks.
Lindsey Graham has lady butts on his taint and his butt cheeks.
Yep, there we go.
His butt cheeks. His butt cheeks.
This is how Kyle Kalinske, and he knows it. Look at him fucking peacocking the fact. that he is just brutally disrespecting.
Okay.
All right, I
James,
think that's probably enough of that. That's probably enough of that.
Does Kyle Kalinske
If you
speak
sit
at all
more
on
than
this?
6 hours a day, you need
It's just 26 minutes of Kyle Kalinske jamming out
I mean,
the AI mockings of Give it.
of the rumor, which I mean, if you haven't heard it, I guess we'll address it. There is a long-standing rumor that Lindsey Graham was in the closet during his time on Earth, and that he was purported to have apparently he met with sex workers, male sex workers, who one of which claimed that he had some moles in his pelvic region, and like in between. I believe the term is perineum. And he referred to
yeah.
these
Let's stay medical
moles.
and factual about it.
Well, you were trying to be proper about
This
this.
is a news show.
Obviously,
This is a news show.
It's unsubstantiated, so I don't want to, I don't want to be crass about this. Basically, the story is that he has a bunch of moles on his taint, and he refers to them as his little ladybugs.
And so Kyle Kalinske has decided to celebrate the death of a serving U.S. senator, a national hero to some, but at the very least, a quote-unquote servant of the United States of America. And we're going to listen to his reasoning on why he thinks it's okay to mock people like this and not take them seriously. And his justification for adding to the tensions here in the United States and the way people treat each other.
The reason we are like we are is because of them. We're not the ones who started this trend of being assholes when people die, okay? They're the ones who started this trend. And by the way, the difference is, when they're assholes against us, it's bullshit, because we actually believe in good things and try to make the world a better place. When we're assholes against them, the reason why you are seeing people celebrate Lindsey Graham being gone is because he led to just a tremendous number of deaths. This guy only brought violence to the world. Violence, hatred. I mean, this man is the lowest of the low. He literally has hundreds of thousands of innocent people's blood on his hands. That is not an exaggeration. He supported every illegal war the U.S. did. Okay, whether it be Iraq, whether it be Afghanistan, whether it be Libya or Iran or Venezuela, literally every single one of them, he was leading the charge as a neocon warmonger psychopath. Okay, don't let any of them ever shame you. By the way, I used to be the type of person who actually believed, no, don't say anything mean, don't say anything bad when somebody dies. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. The thing that made me change my mind is literally Donald Trump and the Trump era. And realizing if only one side is committed to these things, then we're just going to get run roughshod over from now until the end of time. So what we do, we fight fire with fire. That's what we got to do. There's no way around it. If you guys are going to fucking say the most deranged and atrocious things when good people die, then when bad people die, we'll return the favor and tell the truth. Okay, that's what we're going to do. All right, how about this one? Mike.
What do you think, Kyle? That fair?
I mean, as I said earlier, adhering to our values as Democrats have not gotten us where we want to be politically. I think that there is some truth to the idea that responding in kind is justified and good for our cause. I think that you can do that in a way that's a little bit classier than the way that Kalinske did it, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think you can do that in a way that has can
well, I
both
think
pay
I think it
homage.
also matters, what company are you in, right? If that goes out to all of Twitter, that's one thing. Like if he just posts that on his timeline. But if this is for like a little private stream and we're just joking and yada yada and couch it a little bit better, like he's making his justifications here.
Sure. No,
the reason we're doing it is because he has hundreds of thousands of bodies, the death of scores, multitudes of people, and the destruction of cultures and the oppression of people here in our own nation, the starving of people in our own nation when he votes against the well-being of the American people. He's voted against democracy and not leading the charge against the impeachment. Probably voting against it. I'm not sure. I assume he voted against it. The way that these people stand against the health of our democracy and our nation, I think that totally opens you up to mockery and disrespect. And I think the main thing that needs to be kept in mind is, how are people going to receive it? Are you mocking people in a way, because the way Trump does it is a way that gets people motivated. He says, I've identified your enemy for you, and I'm going to mock them and make you feel powerful. And so
I just looked it up. Lindsey Graham did indeed vote to acquit Donald Trump in both.
Yeah,
in both
so this is a
impeachment
person
trials.
who is voting against our democracy, voting against our right, voting against our well-being in a way that in a way that and the way that opens them up to this ridicule. They have death on their hands. And so it's just about, do you make a message that resonates? And here's a speaking somewhat ill of the dead here. Let's see. How did I decide I was going to shoot? Wait, I'm just going to go to full. Look at Hunter first? No. We're going to Michael Fanone. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he was there at the Capitol on January 6th. And this was his response today on Twitter. Lindsey Graham is dead. I will always remember my first and only encounter with him, when he looked the grieving mother of a dead police officer in the face and barked that he wasn't going to listen to her blame Trump for January 6th. When I showed him my body cam footage from that day, he turned away and looked at his phone. Rest in piss, you fucking worthless scumbag. If there is a hell, I hope you're in it.
Damn.
And I think that pretty much sums up my feeling.
That's
For
pretty
all the
scathing.
things he's done. For all of the things he's done. Absolutely, I think you should be able to speak ill of the dead. I think you should be aware of the way your words will affect people, and I think Michael Fanone nailed it here. He told people who this man was and what he stood for.
Yeah, it's a much easier statement to defend, considering that, I mean, if Lindsey Graham wasn't representative of policies that Kalinske et al. Are against, and I include myself in that, then they probably wouldn't take any joy in making fun of the guy's butthole moles or whatever. But he's only doing that because he has a distaste for Lindsey Graham for the things that he's done, like what Fanone or Fan One, maybe, who knows, the things that
I think
he's
it's a real
detailing
name.
here. Probably, but I don't know. Okay. Just throwing it out. It's a much more legitimate criticism, and I don't think that somebody dying should prevent them from being criticized. I also want to say that I think that there is a difference between reveling in someone's death because they were assassinated or murdered versus someone who died of natural causes. The fact that this was a natural, as far as we're aware, now there are some people who think that there's a conspiracy behind this as well, that Lindsey Graham had made a statement in Ukraine that he felt like he could get the war to close soon, that he felt he could bring Russia to the negotiating table and bring about peace. And I think there's been some people who've speculated that, what if it was somebody who didn't want that to happen? Not something I look into a whole lot because I think it's bullshit, but it's worth mentioning that there are indeed those claims circulating around.
Yeah. So now we're gonna move to a way of mocking the dead that, while it's very funny, I don't think benefits humanity. I don't think this is bringing any greater value to the discourse. Share this for you, Kyle. We've got Lindsey Graham's Wikipedia page the day of his death. It has been edited to say that Lindsey Olin Graham was Donald Trump's personal masseur and Netanyahu's best friend. So this is it's a bit of fun. It's called We Do a Bit of Trolling. What do you think, Kyle? Is this benefiting or hurting the discourse?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that it hurts the discourse a whole lot. I don't know that it benefits it either. I guess I feel kind of neutral about it. I mean, it's clearly been edited by somebody who's not fond of Lindsey Graham. Calling him Donald Trump's personal masseur is I mean, I don't think that's a homophobic jab. I think that's more talking about how he became a Trump ass kiss after after Trump took power. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's great, but I don't think it's horrible either.
Given the world we live in, and the things that the other side is doing, the things that the Republicans will say about people, the week before Charlie Kirk's assassination, Donald Trump mocked in an AI video the attempt on Nancy Pelosi's life and the attempt to kidnap Nancy Pelosi. Like, this was an attempted murder that physically debilitated Nancy Pelosi's husband. He had to be hospitalized. And the president of the United States, the same week that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, was posting AI slop mocking that event. So if I hear a single word out of a Republican about the hypocrisy of the left, then I don't want to fucking hear it. These people are a joke. They act like monsters and they expect us to act like angels. And when we act even just a little bit under our best moral values, they cry hypocrisy when they have absolutely no standards. And I'm sick of pretending that we need to live up to those standards perfectly without criticism. I will say personally, this is kind of funny. It's probably in somewhat bad taste. This isn't the reason that democracy is falling apart, though. It's the Republican behavior that is the reason that we can't have legitimate conversations in society. And then we have another meme picture of Lindsey Graham being named the First Lady of the United States on his Wikipedia profile. Now, for a much better, more effective way of doing this, we then have that.
I just gotta blow my nose real quick.
This is a learning stream, guys. I apologize. We usually do a little bit different content. Our React content is coming along. I haven't. Oh, it's.
There we go. Nice empty nose. Can't react to content with a clogged nose.
All right. This is the way, just a beautiful way of, this is politicking. This is being simultaneously real and pushing a message. Because I think Hunter Biden is wholesome enough to actually mean. I think it would come across as disingenuous for a lot of other people. So, Kyle, you want to read it for us?
Sure. When I heard about Senator Graham's death last night, the first thing I thought about was not all the things he said and did in service of Donald Trump. I thought of the time before Donald Trump, when he was a brother to Senator John McCain. A time when senators from different parties could fight about politics and still be friends. A time when a conservative Republican from South Carolina could say of my father, "If you can't admire Joe Biden as a person, you've got a problem. He's the nicest person I've ever met in politics. As good a man as God ever created." That is the Senator Graham that I will remember today. Not because I have forgotten what came after, because in that memory there is hope. Hope for a country where brothers can fight like hell over policy and still share a meal, and a laugh and the loss of the people they love. I will choose to remember the time before Trump because I believe in an America after Trump. Words of a future president right there. My God.
Words, I can't believe it, man. This guy just keeps slaying. the ultimate redemption story. He is the ultimately when they talk about the establishment fighting against an individual and just crushing them with the might of unjustly with the might of the deep state, that's fucking Hunter Biden. Former America's mayor Rudy Giuliani spending a year working with fraudsters in Ukraine trying to dig up literally almost blackmailing Zelensky with like hundreds of millions of dollars of aids, trying to say open up an investigation into Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and their relationships and business dealings in Ukraine. Like, and then it gets dropped off in a fucking blind repairman's laptop repair center. What the fuck? What a joke. This can't be reality, Kyle. I am sick of living in the upside down. Where a former crackhead is the most honest person in politics, and they're not even in politics. I am tired of living in the upside down. The son of the former president who should have been reelected, except they're fucking 80 years old, so their brains started dying at the end of their first term. What a joke. What a joke. We find ourselves in just a depressing time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was pretty old, and I think that's reasonable criticism, and that's why we currently have a... Oh, shit, Trump just turned 80 himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well...
Oh, speaking of Trump, here's contrasting Trump. If a Republican ever gives you shit about you mocking the death or making a joke about someone who died, let's have a look at the two ways that Trump reacted to both Lindsey Graham's death and then someone else he didn't like, someone who didn't serve him politically. Donald Trump. Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. President Donald J. Trump. As if we didn't fucking know. It's up there. You don't have to sign every fucking thing you say, asshole. But yeah, immediately just spitting on the graves of the dead. And like I said earlier, when someone tried to murder or capture for political to hold them for political means justifications. My brain is dying. He mocked the attempted assassination and capture of the head of the Democratic Party the week that Charlie Kirk was murdered, and says whatever he wants about the dead and people who are subject to political violence. So don't let these people try and point out hypocrisy on ours.
Yeah, insofar as Donald Trump is emblematic of the Republican Party, which I'd say right now he certainly is, considering that all of his preferred candidates are succeeding within the Republican primaries in the midterms, safe to say that he's still more or less the avatar of the Republican Party, and this is the kind of thing that he is saying when his political opponents pass away.
Yep.
Pretty flimsy criticism when it's pointed towards Democrats who are not even political officials. Fanone, not a political official. Kalinsky, not a political official. Just pundits, just people, or people who are, involved in the discussion, but not at all in the decision making, or they have none of the political authority. Certainly none that the president of the United States would have. And yet here's the kind of character that
Mueller was a Republican. It's not even about party lines. It's not about politics. It's about Trump, and it's about Trump's power and defending just that at the expense of American democracy, the health and well-being of the American people, the economy, our international relationships, the stability of the world itself. Everything is on the table as long as it can be traded to get Trump something shiny and new to make him.
Now, what he said in tribute to Lindsey Graham below is, just hilariously without tact.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And then Donald Trump tries to pretend to be a human being for a second, and he says, Senator Lindsey Graham, one of the greatest people and senators I have ever known, is dead! He was always working and was a true American patriot. Lindsay will be greatly missed! Exclamation point! Details and arrangements to follow! So sad! President Donald J. Trump.
Yep, rife with a little syntax error there at the end too. With not what time did he put that out? Was it like 4 a.m. when he sent that?
Oh, I don't cut off the thing.
Oh well, yeah. Well, either way, even when he's trying to pay tribute to someone's life, he fails at that. He's just so accustomed to being a shit demon that
I
he
think
just
people
can't muster.
speaking about yeah. I think people speaking about politics, they can make jokes. We as individuals, we can make cruel jokes. It's not the end of the world. But our political officials should be held to a higher standard.
Indeed.
Is that controversial? Why is that controversial, Kyle? It's and that's the thing. We see it's not controversial anytime even a private citizen speaks up on the left or mocks someone. They act all entirely outraged.
Yeah, one person on Twitter becomes the Democrats.
The Democrats every time.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, oh, can you give any example of the Democrats and the Democratic establishment or any of the Democrat leaders saying anything like Trump says daily about everyone and anything? Well, you know what? There was a blue-haired feminist that triggered the fuck out of me, and it's probably a fake bot account, Agitator, but I'm going to use them as a stand-in for everything your political party has ever done.
Basically what it becomes. It's a useful way to have a quote unquote source for your bad beliefs. If you can point out
a guy on Twitter,
a guy on Twitter who may or may not be real, typed these characters into the Twitter box, and
a 30-follower account made in March of the same year.
Yeah, that has that if you actually look into it, has an IP address that does not match an American one. But never mind that.
Yeah, its name is George America, and it's just him with like AI generated photos of flags and guns.
No.
Or wait, no, it's supposed to be a lefty. Sorry.
Right, sure. But either way, the point is, yes, there's not a lot of scrutiny given over to these Twitter sources that are used to as an emblem for what the Democrats say and believe, and it's a very convenient way to just paint the entire left side of the political spectrum broadly with this awful brush, and it's not represented at all.
But when Donald Trump says something, then Republican voters don't have to even agree with him. They can be like, well, he's like that.
Sure. Yeah. Which is, if Plattner won his Senate election, that's probably what the Democrats would be doing about him. Like, well, he's just like that. He's just like that. But
well, the difference would be that we wouldn't support what he does if he's going to be like that. We would say, no, It's fucking awful. Fuck what he did. He shouldn't be mocking the dead like that as a U.S. senator. Fuck that. That's bad behavior.
Indeed.
We kick people out of our fucking party for that kind of shit, okay? We do have civility on the left. Don't you pretend for a second that we're the side that lacks conviction in their morals.
Yeah, Kevin McCarthy the other day was on Fox saying that, this is kind of taking us back to the Plattner thing, but just it applies to this as well, that if he was a Republican, he would have been out immediately, and that Republicans filter out bad candidates before they get to that point. Fucking hilarious.
How many credible rape allegations are there against the president of the United fucking States?
Sure.
There was one that was adjudicated. There was one where it was adjudicated in court that on balance evidence, this is not a criminal thing, this is saying on the balance it is for the purposes of a, what's it called, a civil trial.
Yeah,
it was adjudicated that it could be discussed as fact that he raped her.
Yep. Found
now
civilly
obviously that is a
term.
lower bar of evidence, but it's been civilly adjudicated.
Every attempt to appeal has failed, and he is now being forced to actually pay out on that.
Over $100 million because he spent so much time during the trial continually publicly lying about them in ways that the judge specifically said, hey, you can't say that publicly right now. Hey, you can't say that. And he said it so many fucking times that they had to start saying, hey, if you say that thing I've told you 8 times not to say again publicly, you will be fined $10 million. And he did it like 5 more times.
So that's the character of the current avatar of the Republican Party. As even though I know that there are, I'm sure, many conservatives who are almost as disgusted by that as I am. I think it's important to take that into consideration when we're comparing the way that Democrats deal with bad candidates or the death of a political opponent versus the way that the Republicans at large, where we might have a few individuals here and there expressing some disrespect in untactful ways, and there might be some folks who are willing to stomach, and including myself to some degree. I mean, I did say earlier that I would still vote for Plattner if it was the day of and I had no other choice other than Susan Collins. But compare that to the response from actual Republican officials who have zero compunction, it would seem, for supporting Donald Trump, given all the things he's been credibly accused of doing, and given the way that Trump and other Republican officials will respond when a Democrat dies or is threatened in some way. And with that, it is currently 8:42.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've thoroughly summarized the tale of 2 grams that occurred within the past week.
Beautiful. We were going to react to something else, Kyle, but I feel like I'm coming down with something. I'd kind of like to end early here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's totally fair. We spent enough time on this. We may stream on Friday. We might not. But we do have more of our regular programming coming up in some future weeks. We will have guests on for our next episode. Nobody's confirmed yet. We don't want to spill any, details about who we've got.
I will tease that we do have 2 big guests in the pipeline that have previously agreed to come on and then did not... ended up being busy, or in fact, in one of the cases, we decided we weren't ready for such a big guest. But we are in talks with 2 larger guests to have on for first-time guests, so I'm excited for that.
Is it AOC?
It's Obama.
Holy shit. I'm not ready for that at all.
Not ready for that.
All right,
let's cancel.
Then...
I canceled it. You know what? I'm going to cancel it.
Good. Yeah.
Obviously,
canceled. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Or you know what? No, we're too big for him. He's got to come to us. He's got to show he's worth it. What's he been doing? You know what? Fuck that guy. He lied about the Flint, Michigan crisis, and he went there and pretended to drink the water. That's actually fucked up. Okay, fuck you, Obama. Yeah. I love you. Great job.
Fuck him. Yep. Miss you. Please come back.
Please come back to our show. We've been the Marketplace of Ideas. Thanks for watching us as we are learning a different format of streaming here. Obviously there were some, you didn't get to see them, Kyle, but there were all sorts of technical errors that you didn't get to visually watch. I need to set up some more scenes for the streaming. We'll talk about this after I end the stream here in a second. Thanks for watching the Marketplace of Ideas.